how NFTs change what it means to be a media brand. This is going to be a good one. Come on out, Jeff and Josh. This is going to be kick butt. All right, there you guys go, and take it away.
Great, thanks. Hi, everybody. We don't know where to sit. We're sitting here.
I guess I'm over here.
Yeah. I'm Josh Hackbarth. I head up, oh, these are deep chairs. I head up our NFT business for Warner Brothers Discovery, so overseeing our big brand IP entering into the space from DC to Looney Tunes to the Matrix to, you can imagine, the whole portfolio. So.
And I'm Jeff Marsilio. I'm the CEO and co-founder of NFTs. NFTs is a platform for NFT-powered fan communities. We've partnered with Warner Brothers on projects like The Matrix and Looney Tunes and other entertainment and creators to create large-scale projects that deliver utility at scale. Before I founded NFTs, I was at the NBA for about 8 years as Senior Vice President of New Media. So I had some brand experience before starting NFTs. So Josh and I actually, we work together quite a lot and have been, at least for my journey, leading NFTs in the NFT space, have been working together really from the beginning. On day one of NFTs, we did a project around the film Space Jam. And really right from the beginning, Josh, you talked about how Web3 could give companies like Warner Brothers the opportunity to go from being storytellers to story catalysts. And that line has always stuck with me because it's a good line. What did you mean by it?
Yeah, so just a little bit of background of how we've entered the space. Jeff mentioned our Space Jam project, but you know, we're always looking for ways to connect with our larger fandom. We have billions of fans around the planet, and so we're trying to always find that next thing. And sometimes we're ahead of our fans and we're ready when they come, and sometimes we chase and we follow the fans. I think the Web3 move is a little bit of both. We have some of our fans that are already well entrenched, and we have a lot of fans that we can bring into the space. And as we were approaching it, we do really look at it as how can we extend our stories into new spaces. So, you know, I grew up on the consumer product side, so, you know, whether it's through a toy or a poster or a t-shirt, those are all very kind of static representations of the story. That idea of story catalyst means that in this space, we can be closer to the community, and I know we'll touch on that in a second, but we can use it as a platform for storytelling. I know that's a very cliche thing to say, but as a you know a storytelling company, it's we really mean it. And so, even as we've evolved from our Space Jam drop to what we're doing with Looney Tunes this week, which we just announced, has gone from kind of a representation of the film to now we're telling completely new stories. And I'm super excited about some of those things that we're doing. Like with Looney Tunes, we're partnering with the animators and with the storytellers that are working with Looney Tunes every day to bring Tweety and, you can imagine, the rest of the Looney Tunes to life.
Well, you know, just a few days ago, we got back this one of the early promotional videos for it, and it's Marvin the Martian's supercomputer and Marvin the Martian's voice actor. I mean, it's the character, right? Reading this exposition for this story. I think that moment for me was one of the big moments that brought it to life. When like it was the voice, the character, the drawings, the animation, all in one place. Yeah. Talking about a blockchain project from Looney Tunes.
Yeah. With What's Up Block, it's called, by the way, if you haven't heard of it. So it's yeah. I mean, NFTs are a canvas for our story creators, and it's really fun to jump in. But I think even more importantly, like as we think about story, the other real big advantage to Web3 and NFT space is it brings us closer to the community. So we have decades of running fan communities, right? We have great Looney Tunes fans, we have great Matrix fans, like we have incredible communities. The NFT space allows us to bring them into the creative process in an authenticated way. It's not like we couldn't do it. We could do it in a way with like an email address in the past, or like a email sign up or whatever. But NFTs, it's authenticated. it's it's gated. We can do things that we weren't able to do before. But I think that power of the community we're just learning, and that's why partnering with you guys on community. I know you have a great outlook.
Yeah. No, and just want to add to what you're saying. The collector, the member of the community, they own the character. They own their character, they own their identity. It's them. So now they're really in the story, and I think that's just super cool. And how you guys are innovating in that area has been fun to be part of.
And that's a great point. We've been doing these PFP projects, first with Matrix and now with Looney Tunes. We couldn't do that at scale in any other format. You couldn't produce 100,000 unique toys. And
right.
So, bringing it to the digital space and having that digital ownership is really powerful.
Yeah, and so thinking about community, when I started, I was, in a small group of nerds at the NBA in 2018 that started looking at blockchain and how it might impact our business. And we identified 5 or 6 ways. This is blockchain more broadly, right? This is before we were calling it Web3. This is just the tech. And we ended up picking, and this is sort of the way the story goes, we ended up picking digital collectibles as the place to get started. But the one area that I think I was most excited about was fan communities, right? This is the NBA does this all over the world. It's not just the NBA, it's their 30 teams. It's not just the teams, it's the 450 players. It's not just the players, it's the thousands of sponsors, the media companies. When you think of the NBA, you don't think of the company that I worked for. You think of this whole ecosystem. And there were fan communities around the world managed or fragmented throughout this ecosystem. So I was really, really excited about the potential for blockchain to completely innovate that space for us. What I didn't appreciate in 2018, but became a no-brainer as NFTs emerged as this powerful use case, is that actually digital collectibles are just a flip side of that story. And I think the whole space, we've all been learning together that when you mint, and this is what we say internally at NFTs, when you mint an NFT, you're minting a community. And that's true, frankly, whether you like it or not. When we minted Space Jam, we were remember, we were so psyched, man, whoa, 90,000 people, unique people just did NFTs for the first time. And then the next day, they're great, now what do we do? And we're oh, right, okay. This exists forever now. This is on the blockchain. So what NFTs has been building is a platform to deliver utility and community at scale. Not just for one project, but for many projects. Not just for one great partner, but for many great partners. And what it means, community has so many meanings, just like all of these words. Obviously, there's a social component to it. But I think what the space needs the most is the ability to deliver access, just gated access that only you get because you're a member at scale. And that's the thing that we've been most focused on, what we've been delivering to the Matrix community, the largest avatar community in the world, I think, and what we're doing now with Looney Tunes.
Yeah, and I think, what NFTs and Web3 have helped us to do is think beyond a moment in time we're great at launching movies, we're great at launching TV series, but when you think about putting together an NFT project, we really have to think about what's that long-term expectation with the fan. How do we, curate to that fan? I run the social teams for animation properties like Looney Tunes and things like that, and we have no problem with engagement. But when, to your point, when we did the Space Jam drop, now we have. I don't want to say it's a louder fan base, but it's definitely a more engaged fan base because everybody has a little piece of it. And I think as we start to think about that long-term roadmap, we don't think of it as, there's a digital collectible in the moment. You have this great, PFP, you have this great trading card, whatever it is. But what's really opened our eyes is how we can open up our entire Warner Brothers ecosystem into the oft-used buzzword utility. Yeah. But it's real for us. We can really bring things to life.
And that's that other, you're hinting around the other big buzzword, which is interoperability. And that's actually why when I was at the NBA, I was so psyched. We had looked at rewards and membership programs a million times, but we understood that we were a central hub in a large ecosystem. And Web 2 and Web 1 and other kinds of solutions, they don't really give you an easy way to connect all of the nodes in that network. That's what's so exciting. That's why this matters, right? I mean, the ownership, obviously, of digital collectibles and NFTs, but the interoperability, it can connect ecosystems. And the fact is, it's not just sports leagues. All entertainment companies are ecosystems. All of them have partners. These guys work with every movie exhibitor around the world. You don't think they want to get plugged into utility? Of course they do, right? So that's the power of blockchain. But we should talk about like what are some of the things we can unlock with it, because that's like where it's really gets
Yeah, for
interesting.
sure. I mean, from our side, again, that the Warner Brothers ecosystem, we have everything from, access to our creators to, we have theme park partnerships all over the world. We have themed experiences. We have content that's never been seen before. We have warehouses of archives that you can't even imagine. And, again, doing that on a mass scale, kind of anonymous scale, doesn't make sense for us. But when you can kind of curate it to your most loyal fans, and you have the technology to be able to deliver that, so things like, a master class with an animator, or a Looney Tunes short that's never been seen before, or even new content, like influencing new content, like what do you want Bugs Bunny to do? We can open up all of those kinds of things.
Are we going to start seeing the villains win in Looney Tunes? Because they just get their butts kicked over and over again.
I mean, we'll work with the community.
Okay, let's see what the community.
Bugs
Maybe
always
Elmer
wins, I would
Fudd
say.
wins the day one time. But some of the other things that we've been exploring, like you mentioned, gated content. There's also gated commerce, right? And there are things you can't do at scale with commerce that you could do for a small community, like make stuff much more custom. And not only do it on like for Nifty's, membership is sort of step one, but then you can earn a reputation in that community that gets you even better access. So you can imagine just being a member gets you really, really cool Tweety Bird merchandise, but being an active member gets you something that's totally unique that only you can get.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the real life experiences too, like what we've got going on tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, touching on the consumer products piece of it a little bit, I mean, Warner Brothers has had a long-standing consumer products division, for probably 50, 60 years, and we're very good at it, at bringing product to life. I think what's interesting is, I think if NFTs Web3 would have showed up 10 years ago, the manufacturing capabilities weren't quite there to do the one-to-one manufacturing. But, we're seeing this evolution of not just how we're engaging our fans through NFTs, but also through with catching it up with the technology on the manufacturing side, so we can deliver one-to-one over the long term. So.
Well, one of the things that I've found, you and I have not figured out the answer to this question, so I'm gonna raise it as a question. Maybe you guys have an answer, but it can be challenging. We know that there's all this potential. We all know that there's all this potential for these properties. There's extraordinary potential. But there is a balance. You can't just overpromise. You can't give a laundry list of everything that you're definitely going to do for the next 50 years. There is a balance to be struck. How have you been thinking about that? Because you're you're a little bit of the gatekeeper on this, and you've got to maintain the balance.
Yeah,
most of all.
So again, representing more of the studio side, the IP owners, I think our ambition is probably further ahead than a lot of the technology, capability, and that's why partnering with you to help us prioritize that is really important. I mean, I think there's things that we like the real life experiences I think are going to be really important. How do we attach those things? And it just comes through whether it's gated ticketing or things like that. But it's so overwhelming on what we could do in this space. And again, like we as our broader company, we're very bullish on this idea of decentralization, of
right.
bringing the power back to the fans, and having them choose with their wallets.
As we prioritize in the tech side, we think that the biggest ROI comes in two areas, and that is just making this way easier to use for the fan. Because it's awesome that we've got tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people out there, but man, there's hundreds of years worth of fans of Looney Tunes in every country around the world. There are hundreds of millions of people looking for an opportunity like this, but it's a bit scary for them, and they're getting turned off by how complicated it is. So we're investing in that area, and that's been really important for these kinds of partnerships. The second thing is actually giving tools that are really easy to use back to companies like yours, so that because you're better at making fan experiences than we could ever be. But if we can give you a platform for that, then we unlock your potential too.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And our timer's going to start on fire.
TikTok.
But I will say, we wanted to answer the question, how NFTs change what it means to be a media brand. The spoiler is it doesn't change. It helps us be even better, right? It's a new platform for storytelling. Like, new things emerge every few
It's still storytelling. It's still community. It's still fandom. It just unlocks all this potential within those same areas. And I want to do that. I'll leave us with an idea. This empowering of fans to do more of the storytelling, what you started with around the story catalyzing, that's where this becomes like 10x, I think.
100%.
Cool.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
guys.
Say your names.